That is so crazy. Another world-changing, genuinely fucking catastrophic hurricane is making landfall. 8 p.m. Eastern. This is nothing short of astronomical. I am at a loss for words to meteorologically describe you the storm's small eye and intensity. Okay? 180 miles per hour max sustained winds and gusts 200 plus miles an hour. This is now the fourth strongest hurricane ever recorded by pressure on this side of the world. The eye is tiny at nearly 3.8 miles wide. This hurricane is nearing the mathematical limit of what Earth's atmosphere over this ocean water can produce. It's going to undergo another EWRC eye wall replacement cycle, and its wind field will only grow before landfall. It's going to get bigger. I heard meteorologists were crying on television when describing what this impact is going to look like. I'm in Tampa and I'm only packing my Hasan merch to take with me. Yes, get the fuck out of Florida, chatters, please. I don't want to hear no chatters in the chat being like, oh, I'm stuck here. Okay, I'm stuck here. Oh, here's our meteorolog. Oh my God, I can't say it. There it is. Boom. Right on the money. 12 hours ago, 1 a.m. CDT, Milton had wind speeds of 90 miles and a minimum pressure of 975 MB. Milton went through one of the fastest rapid intensifications of an Atlantic hurricane in recorded history, and it is also one of the fastest hurricanes to go from a Category 1 to a Category 5. Hurricane Maria, a Cat 5, which meteorological. There it is. Meteorologist. I got it. One of the fastest hurricanes to go from Cat 1 to Cat 5, Hurricane Maria, Cat 5, which devastated Puerto Rico, Dominica, and Martinique in 2017, also did the same in a similar amount of time. Milton's currently a Cat 5 hurricane in the Gulf near the Yucatan and forecasts to move towards the Florida Peninsula. The NHC has stated multiple times this is an extremely life-threatening situation and is urging all Floridians / those in areas that could be affected to follow the advice of local officials. Do your best to leave if they tell you to. I know that there's a lot of Floridians out there. that are like, nah, it's fine. I don't give a shit.
Incredible.
I'm built different. I would not do that.
It's just an incredible hurricane. It has dropped. It has dropped 50 millibars in 10 hours. I apologize. This is just horrific. Maximum sustained winds are 160 miles per hour, and it is just gaining strength in the Gulf of Mexico, where you can imagine the winds. The seas are just so incredibly hot. Record hot, as you might imagine. You know what's driving that. I don't need to tell you. Global warming, climate change, leading to this.
Oh, I'm tuned out. That's fake news, man. He's crying. Obviously, when he said climate change, I was like, no. I thought he was going to talk about the Chinese Jewish weather machine. And a classic liberal media doing fake news again. I hate to report on this, but it's very obviously a Jewish Chinese space laser machine that also is doing HARP weather conditions. Dude, I literally almost started crying when I was researching it. Almost the entire peninsula of Florida is at some kind of risk of flash flooding, as well as the coast of Georgia and South Carolina. The Tampa Bay area is at risk of 10 to 15 foot storm surge. Florida will be impacted by heavy rainfall before Milton makes landfall. You probably got to get out right now before it's too fucking late. Unless you want to drive in that fucking storm surge. This will lead to comprehensive climate change legislation. No, it won't. dog, extreme weather, like once in a lifetime weather events are now extremely commonplace, and people refuse to recognize the reality, so much so that they are refusing to harden the infrastructure against it. Like we are actively not even like we're not even doing the thing that we're supposed to do to like at least save people because of our inability to recognize the reality. This has become such a fucking culture war issue at this point that people literally won't even do the things necessary, the bare minimum things necessary to at least like harden the infrastructure. And you're hearing more and more people, fucking straight up say, nah, dog, it's got to be the weather machine. That's probably what this is. Because the alternative is too scary. The truth is too scary. Okay?
Becoming an increasing threat for the Yucatan, including Mérida and Progreso and other areas there. Let's see if I can show you the latest. There's the Cat 5 information. Winds 160 miles per hour, moving east-southeast at 9 miles per hour. And on that track, you're going to notice that this system is going to come very, very close to the Yucatan, and the dirty side of this hurricane, folks, is on the right-hand side of its progress. So therefore, they're going to get the dirty side there. These communities, many of them, as you might imagine, many folks, in that area have just the very basics, nothing else but that. So it's going to be very tough. Now let's transition to Florida because even though it is expected to weaken on approach, it is so incredibly strong right now that you're going to find it very difficult for it to be nothing less than a major hurricane when it makes landfall in Florida.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is refusing to speak to Kamala Harris about coordinating the hurricane response. Kamala Harris now responds on tarmac, calls DeSantis ignoring calls utterly irresponsible and selfish. White House response to NBC News story about Governor Ron DeSantis not taking VP calls about hurricane response. What the fuck? Bro, what? What does this mean? What do you mean you're just not going to fucking initiate any kind of you're not going to fucking take any fucking, you're not going to take federal help? Like, what are you saying? White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about NBC News' report on Monday afternoon whether politics was sinking into the hurricane response. That's really for the governor to speak to, right? She replies saying that the White House invited DeSantis to survey the storm damage with Biden. It was his decision to not attend or not be there with the president. It's up to him, she added. We are doing our part in the Biden-Harris administration, working. Obviously, FEMA is working on the ground, all hands on deck, whole of government, robust approach here. And so, again, that's for Governor DeSantis to speak to.
Governor DeSantis, NBC is reporting Governor DeSantis is ignoring your calls on hurricanes, resources, and help. How does that hurt the situation here?
You know, moments of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone who calls themselves a leader says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. People are in desperate need of support right now, and playing political games with this moment in these crisis situations, these are the height of emergency situations, is just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish, and it is about political gamesmanship instead of doing the job that you took an oath to do, which is to put the people first.
Madam Vice President.
Oh, he did? He finally took Biden's call 10 minutes ago? Biden got DeSantis on the phone from the White House this evening. The president has separate calls with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Tampa Mayor Jane Castor to get a first-hand report on the recovery efforts for Hurricane Helene and to discuss preparations for Hurricane Milton. He asked the governor and the mayor to call him directly if there's anything that can be done to further support the response and recovery efforts. No bipartisan support to assist with the humanitarian crisis, instead focusing on political talks for a serious emergency. I just don't, like, there is no fucking politics in this situation. Okay? There is no politics in a fucking hurricane. That's ridiculous. Evacuation traffic suddenly shot up after Hurricane Milton reaches Category 5 in Tampa. So the thing is, The things I linked to you are directly from the NHC. He's literally going to get more people killed. I hate that motherfucker. Yeah, I'm in a debate about FEMA with my brother, and I've gotten to the point that he sounds like he wants FEMA to fail and not have anything in place to help people. What do you do? In times like this, you unironically need FEMA more because we're not going to do anything to like mitigate. We're not going to do anything to mitigate the way in which these fucking extreme weather events occur, right? We're not going to do anything about climate change. We're not going to fucking dial back our carbon footprint. We're not doing anything to like harden our infrastructure against these sorts of like massive world-changing climate atrocities. So the least you can do is at least hope that there is enough money in the tank for relief and recovery, right? Like, what the fuck are we doing? I mean, shouldn't the U.S. be forced sending the fucking military? Could have stayed, refused the National Guard. I don't know. I don't know what you do in the situation. I'm sure Ron DeSantis is just like playing politics, which is insane when you're staring down the barrel of like, you know, hundreds of your fucking citizens dying in this massive fucking hurricane. But I mean, he has capitulated. He has actually taken the call. Republicans are saying that the Biden admin pulled FEMA funds for immigration. Is that true? I mean, there's always restructuring going on in terms of like funding certain things, but I wonder where that. I'm reminded of the $17 billion that we've given to Israel, including the $9 billion that we gave to Israel. The total $18 billion of military aid we gave to Israel. I'm reminded of that number because there's plenty of restructuring that happens in the American budget throughout the fiscal year. And it doesn't seem like anyone brings this up when talking about the money in the bank. Here's what Aisha Siddiqui had to say about our incredible historic hurricane, Hurricane Milton, making landfall soon. Part of the toll of living under America's managed decline and the abandonment of people is how helpless and distraught one is made to feel in the face of daily horror. We try to get in touch with those we could and offer shelter, but the need far outpaces individual ability. Let's tune in to Tampa Mayor Jane Castor, who had this to say about the potential Category 5 hurricane making landfall in Florida. Tampa is, of course, in the way of the hurricane path.
Number one message to Tampa residents tonight.
You need to prepare, do whatever you need to do, and then get out of the evacuation zones, which now are evacuation zone A and B. And as we all have heard so many times now, you hide from the wind and run from the water. And we are talking about right now the possibility of a direct hit with 10 to 12 foot tidal surge. Put that in perspective, Hurricane Helene, which just left the Tampa Bay area a week ago, there was 6 foot storm surge, and that was literally devastating to so many in our coastal area. We have 126 miles of coast just in the city of Tampa. And so people need to be heeding that warning. And from the looks of traffic on all of our northbound highways, they're doing just that.
Yeah, we've seen how jammed up those highways are. I know a lot of the tolls have been suspended to help facilitate people getting out of there. What would you say to people tonight who are saying, you know what, I'm going to ride this out, I've ridden others out? What would you say to people who aren't heeding those evacuation orders?
Well, I can tell you right now that they may have done that in others. There's never been one like this. And this, Helene was a wake-up call. This is literally catastrophic. And I can say without any dramatization whatsoever, if you choose to stay in one of those evacuation areas, you're going to die.
Oh my God. I just had to beg my girlfriend for the last 2 days to get the fuck out of Tampa, and now they're finally going southbound. South? Yes, south is also an appropriate way to escape. It's safer. That's why Miami is safer than fucking Tampa. The problem is, it's not like people choose to stay. Like okay, we're talking about Florida. There are a lot of people who choose to stay, but not everyone is choosing to stay. The people, a lot of people that die in situations like this are people that don't have the financial capability of getting out. It's not always people who are like, fuck you, hurricane, you can't do shit to me, I'm from Florida. Tropical storm zones. Are the prisons in the area cleared? Nope. I-4 has been gridlocked for hours. A lot of people lost their cars in Helene, and rentals are locked up for the last week. I need people to be prepared for the fact that there aren't many residents that want to leave but won't be able to. Elderly parents, disabled, poor people without any cars. There's also one additional thing that I want to show you about the state of Florida, or at least specifically Tampa. The Tampa Bay area's main hospital and only trauma center is built on an island at sea level. I just want to point out that there's going to be potentially 15 feet of storm surge. By the way, this is literally fucking Florida. Like, everywhere in Florida is like this. If you're confused, what the fuck caused them to make this decision? Like, this is most of Florida. And let me tell you, they didn't do the Dutch move of like building it in a floating fashion or anything like that. My friend works there and is on emergency call. They have flood barriers that work to keep the hospital operational. Yeah, they usually have they will put up these like crazy ass fucking flood barriers around the hospital. I've seen it in action during Hurricane Helene. I'm flying to Florida for tomorrow for a wedding. Pray for me. What are you, fucking stupid? No shot. The answer is yes. What part of Florida are you flying to? What are you guys gonna do, like that Orlando? Wait, someone in the chat said Disney World is not even closing yet. I have a family in evacuation zone C. They're in their 80s and are sheltering at the high school so they can check their mobile home when it's done. So dumb. I want them to go. How does Florida exist? Swampland. They were like, look at this uninhabitable swampland. Let's build on it anyway. Surely this won't be an issue down the line. The entirety of the state of Florida, especially some of the higher density urban areas, are directly built on Coke money. Like, I'm not even joking when I say this. It's not even a meme. Okay? It's indigenous slaughter on top of a swampland that they propped up with Coke money and real estate scams. And now the current economy of the state of Florida revolves around crypto. That's all Florida is. It's like shoddy housing built unsustainably with infrastructure that falls apart with regular frequency. And it's completely built by Coke money that people had to dump into something, and real estate was the best possible way to do it. Cocaine money, not Koch brothers. Like cocaine money. Money by trafficking cocaine. Vanilla Ice builds homes in Florida. You take that back. Well, there you go. You just proved the point I was making. Wait, that's not a joke? No, man, it's not. Yeah, just prop plane enthusiasts and speedboat enthusiasts that happen to find a passion for travel all the way from 60s, 70s, 80s, well into the 90s. I mean, that's not like, nothing I said is a joke. Thinking about buying land in Florida, is this a good idea? I mean, if you don't plan to be able to live in it for extended periods of time throughout the year, and if you have no problem with not being able to purchase insurance for it, it seems like, or maybe you know how to breathe underwater. If you have been able to develop gill technology, that could be a reasonable investment for you. I'm a meteorology student, major student. This could be pretty tragic. It's actually worst case scenario if Milton weakens just before landfall, because that enables the wind field to expand, causing the storm surge to be more expansive and devastating. Winds are never the worst part of the hurricane. The flooding and storm surges. Also, don't underestimate tornadoes, since they can happen during a hurricane as well. Yeah. Good stuff, man. I mean, it's great. Folks, are we going to be okay? As major hurricane approaches Florida, FEMA faces severe staffing shortage. Yeah, that's kind of what happens when half of the fucking country's East Coast is directly underwater, you know? Once again, I repeat, we don't want to address the problem. We don't want to address the root cause of the problem. We want to argue on whether the root cause even exists or the problem even exists. We don't want to address what happens if the problem ends up making landfall. And we don't even have any money left in the tank for the relief and recovery efforts after the inevitable consequences of avoiding said problem for extended periods of time. What do you expect? What do you expect? Also, a lot of chatters are fucking being quite anti-Semitic, I will say. I know I'm in California and we got our own complications to worry about, such as wildfires. Okay. But I think a lot of chatters are being anti-Semitic when they talk about FEMA facing severe staffing shortages, when obviously, you know, we should probably give that money to Israel. Israel's running out of munitions, as my favorite congressperson, Lindsey Graham, correctly pointed out.
You can thank Donald Trump and Elon Musk for that.
You know, I've been going all over South Carolina like most people. I hadn't slept much. But look what's going on in Israel. Our friends in Israel are surrounded by people that want to kill them, destroy them, a second Holocaust in the making. And Biden says, be proportional. What is the proportional response to people who want to kill you and your family?
gosh.
They're running out of ammunition in Israel. We have to help our friends to keep the war over there from coming here.
What are you saying, bro? You know what I'm saying. I am Israel Khan. This was Ian in 2022. Oh my God, Twitter video is so ass. That's amazing. Okay, to be fair, that is pretty cool. I know a guy who could get 1,000 ready and able Afghans on the problem ASAP. Guess what, dude? He was in Florida and they fucking arrested him. So who's the real villain of this story? Okay? Who's the real villain? The federal government, of course. Ryan Ruth would address the problem with the tact it deserves. Kathleen, is this you? We got Lakefront Home all of a sudden? God damn, dude. Holy shit.